Welcome to a brand new episode of Level Up with Deb, where we illuminate the path to personal and professional growth. I'm your host, Deboshri Datta, founder and CEO of Kriya. We're a Y Combinator and venture backed AI tech startup empowering industry professionals to build their personal brands. Now, in my journey as a startup CEO, I've been privileged to work alongside some of the most innovative minds in the industry. But as you know, beyond the technology and strategies, I believe in the power of stories and experiences. And that's why we're here today to bring you conversations that matter. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about building a brand, it's about nurturing the person behind it. Our guest today embodies the true spirit of entrepreneurship. Please welcome Venki. As he describes, he actively is building a startup up squad to help organizations leverage technology to positively impact the world. Not only was Venki recognized as top 20 under 30 by the University of Memphis, Venki is passionate about utilizing technology and his background to solve customer problems and loves to dive deep into data. He possesses a can do attitude and thrives on taking on challenging situations with energy and enthusiasm. Before I jump in, I want to take a moment to let Venki introduce himself.
Thank you so much, Deb, for having me. Hello, everyone. My name is Venki Mandapati. I'm the co-founder of a startup called UpSquad. We are a community and a communication tool for organizations to launch, grow, and manage all the programs. It could be training, upskilling, reskilling programs. We help them do it more efficiently to impact their organizations and the communities that they serve. So I'm here today to share my journey and experiences that I have gone through as a startup founder and also my career in the corporate America.
Amazing. Well, Venki, one of the main reasons I wanted to ask this question to lead in is because this is one of the hardest challenges we as immigrants have faced, which is you have been able to overcome so successfully. You've raised capital while being on an H-1B visa. That's the first step to even getting started on this journey. So please tell us everything about it.
Absolutely, Deb. Just to share about my journey of raising capital and building my startup, one thing that I'm deeply passionate about is education and technology. That's something that I found after moving to the US and pursuing my graduate education here is when I started to think about, hey, how can I leverage my technology background in order to solve real problems in the world that I see every day? That's exactly the reason and the motivation why I wanted to start a startup. And a lot of people who are on the same boat, like me, who come here on H1B or as a student, I think one of the biggest things that I learned is not to see any roadblocks in your journey as obstacles. So what I started doing is I just started networking with people around me and just share what I'm deeply passionate about and what I want to do for the communities that I'm living in to also expand to other regions. So during that journey, I stumbled upon a couple of colleagues at work as well as students who are also doing graduate studies just like me, who are from the United States, who actually eventually saw my passion and said, "Hey, Venki, what you're building is great. Let us be part of your journey." So that's how I got my couple of co-founders who are also equally passionate, just like me, and we teamed up together, not really knowing anything about entrepreneurship, but we have this deep passion for helping people and helping communities around. And that's how we started our journey. Just taking one step at a time, not thinking about all the roadblocks that we would come across, but what can we do today in order to make one step ahead? So that's how we thought about different ideas on building technology to be able to help serve lots of organizations and what are some of the problems. And as I said earlier, we didn't know anything about entrepreneurship, but luckily I was during that time I was actually doing my MBA is when I found this opportunity to actually pitch ideas while I was in the program. So it happened to be one day I got to learn about the business pitch competition at the University of Memphis, and I just pitched my idea, and all the judges really liked the solution that I'm trying to build along with my team, and I won the first place in that competition. That gave us a $3,000 check that boosted my confidence to say, hey, this is something that seems to be working. So let's try one more thing. So during that year, I went to different pitch competitions and started winning a bunch of them, which boosted my confidence and say, like, how can I take this even further? So that's when I told my team, let's build an MVP and do some pilots to actually prove this concept, which actually also helped us to get in front of investors who are impact driven in the communities that we live in. And they saw the opportunity and gave us the first check in order to build this. I wouldn't say this has gone very easily, but they saw us again and again trying to do something. They saw the passion in us and gave us the first 100K check. And again, after getting that 100K check, we built our MVP, we polished it, did several pilots across organizations. And again, we ran out of funding. And luckily, I mean, we had corporate jobs. So we were saving it until the last month just to see what would happen. And all of a sudden, pandemic happened. After pandemic, we saw this huge opportunity and need for organizations to build virtual tools in order to make it very efficient for them to manage all the programs that they were doing offline pre-pandemic. So that's how we pivoted it and built a community and a communication tool that every organization is looking for. And immediately our investors came back to us and said, like, this is exactly what everybody needs now. Let's actually help you build this. So that's how we got more than $1 million in the last few years in order to build the technology that we have been trying to help the communities around.
Such a fantastic and inspiring story, Venki. I think we all struggle to take that first step. And we
Yes.
wonder that we'll never get to the seventh step. But if you don't take the first step, you're never going to find the second and the third and the fourth. It's so fantastic. Now, I want to touch upon one thing as you were sharing this. People don't just 100K is a lot of money.
Yeah.
Even the first 100K, even 3K is a lot of money. I don't think people gave it to you for one particular reason because let's say your pitch was strong. I don't think it's just that. There is a bigger reason, and that is because of who you are and what holistically you have built your brand up to be. It shows your credibility, it shows your authority in what you're trying to do. Could you share a little bit about, that pivotal moment where you knew that this is the path for you? Like, what is the moment where you came, obviously you came to study or, doing your MBA. When was it that you said, I'm going to go do this? And then you became intentional about the pitch competitions and everything.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Deb. So I think the first pivotal moment for me is when we got that first 100K check, right? So here is my story, like how even we got that 100K check, right? We had like a couple of competitions that we won, like we got like 10 to 15K in those competitions, and that boosted our confidence. And we go to this an attorney to actually establish our business, and he listens to our story, and after like 1 hour, he just stops us and said, could I actually invest in your company? We didn't have any investors then. And then in fact, he actually pulled in like, investors that he already know are looking for opportunities in the community who wanted to make an impact as well. So that's, I mean, like all our team, we looked at each other and said, like, we didn't even asked for money. And actually, that's the pivotal moment, I believe, that really pushed us to dream big. Because as a first-time entrepreneur and wanting to create an impact, people saw something different. And in fact, one of the questions that I asked our angel investors who wrote that 100K check, what made you believe that this is going to take off, or what exactly like did you guys see in us? They just said one thing: I think you guys are onto something, and you guys are deeply passionate about what you're building. No matter what, we know that you're going to stick to it for the longer run, because entrepreneurship is so hard, and we need people like you to be able to, like, at least have a chance in order to get things going. So that, after hearing that boosted our confidence to 100x and said, like, guys, you know what? There are people who are going to believe in you no matter what. So let's take a plunge and see what happens. But after like 9 months, we ran out of that 100K check. And as I mentioned before, again, luckily we had some savings. We had like our job still that helped the company to kind of like keep moving. And all of a sudden, pandemic happened, and kind of like again, things changed. But I think we just stuck to it no matter what, and continue to pivot through our way.
That is the key, my friend. Entrepreneur to entrepreneur, that is the key.
Yes.
Resilience and continuous learning, right? It is not a straight line at all, as you said before we started this conversation. So I have a lot of the folks that listen to us, and I have, we're both part of Kriya, so we're here for the same mission, right? We're here to not just build our companies, but also to share our knowledge with
Yes.
those that could benefit from us. One of the most typical of questions that I encounter is, I don't know. I feel like I deserve that opportunity. I'm not getting it. So, question being that what would you recommend to those who are seeking, and it doesn't always have to be entrepreneurship, for example, right? So, what would you recommend to those who are seeking to go after even a job opportunity or a leadership role or plunge into a startup that they feel they deserve, right? They feel they deserve it, but somehow it's been out of their reach. How did you cultivate this presence, this brand, so the right decision maker is able to see you in a favorable light?
Mm. Yeah, I think one of the key lessons that I learned, especially on building personal brand, is provide value first, irrespective of whatever your goal is. Think of it this way: without seeking anything, just provide everything that you know to the community around. Because what happens then is people are always seeing every one of us. People are always watching. They wanted leaders. They wanted people that resonate with them, and that's how you build your brand as well. So be very authentic and always seek opportunities to provide value, because a lot of people that I even talk to sometimes say, hey, I do not really know what I can do, or hey, here is the leadership opportunity that I'm looking for. But one thing, hey, I really don't know how to go about it. I think one thing that constantly, I think even my own personal career is just provide help to people around you. And all of a sudden, without even noticing, you get to a level where you're being very authentic, and people are actually going to see passion in you, that you want to just help others, and not only just help yourself, but also help people around you. So that resonates with people, because we are humans. We connect with people that say things that we love hearing, and also build that relationships. So that's what I would say. Always provide value to people around you, and you will be amazed what you get in return.
That is fantastic, and you're a true thought leader, Venki. I think that's the bottom line of it, right? A thought. I think there is, today we live in a world where there's a journey of people trying to present themselves with the tools we have. Fortunately, we have tools like LinkedIn and Instagram, where it's kind of like a megaphone given to you, right? You have the audience sitting over there. It is up to you to take that opportunity and put yourself out there, and that's a stepping stone. You've gone so far further, where pitching is basically the one of the more complicated versions of what people call public speaking, right? You're
Mhm.
not just giving a talk, you are now pitching for an opportunity or a an outcome. You also have a podcast that you run for some time. So there's a variety of strategic, I would say, moves, if you may, that you have
Mhm.
made consciously or unconsciously through your career, because you're a passionate person and these are ways that you brought it out. um, I think I want to go back to that whole conversation where when someone is getting started, right? what it, because I think finding your authentic voice is important, but a lot of people come to me with, I don't know if anyone wants to listen to me. I don't know if
Mhm.
I should share on LinkedIn. I don't know if someone will come to a part, like, they have that hesitation. So what advice would you give for someone who wants to get there, but has
Hmm.
all this imposter syndrome and doubts within them?
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic question, Deb. And in fact, like something that I recently learned is building confidence is key. It's almost like you're trying to find what value that you're trying to provide to others, multiplied by the action that you need to take in order to make that effect. So one thing that early on, unconsciously that I did to myself, or something that I tried, is public speaking. Maybe 7, 8 years ago, I was super nervous in order to be in front of people. And if you would have asked me to even give this podcast interview, I would not have done it just because of the fear. Hey, what would people learn from me? Or what do I have to say to others that could resonate? And luckily, again, when I told to my friends, hey, I had this problem of being nervous while trying to give a speech or being in a room full of people. And one friend, luckily, he told me, hey, Venki, you know what? You might want to try and join one of our Toastmasters club. So that's how things started changing for me. Just learning about the resources that can help you get to that next level, whatever that challenge might be. I mean, for me personally, it's public speaking. For you, it could be something different. But
Absolutely.
having the people and the resources that have done it before you,
Yeah.
and having a mentor that could guide you through the process, because everybody, and in fact, a big, huge percentage of people around the world are actually nervous about public speaking. And in fact, I didn't know about it. And it was through Toastmasters. And in fact, I just completed 7 years being a Toastmasters member. And if you are
Wow.
not aware of Toastmasters, it's a well-renowned, world-renowned nonprofit organization that has clubs all across the world that can help you get better at your communication and presentation skills. So you get to give speeches every month, every week, and helps you get the feedback to improve yourself. And I took several leadership roles in that organization over years, that in fact they invited me for a conference this year to be able to present about all the things that I learned, and also some of the lessons that I can share to new Toastmasters around the world. So just imagine, if I would not have taken that opportunity to just join a local club, I would not have got so many different opportunities. And I have done all these unconsciously, not just looking for anything that I want to do, but I just took action to be able to tell myself, hey, I know what I'm not good at today, which I really want to improve and grow myself. And I took that action to just go to a nearest club and join a Toastmasters. And 7 years later, I'm so confident. If you give me any topic, I could literally speak for an hour. So I think sometimes I just take a pause and look back at all the things that I might have improved, or there are still a lot of things that I want to improve upon. But I realize just taking an action, the moment that you realize that there is a room for improvement, is half battle. And you just have to take action and keep moving.
Such a powerful piece of advice. So many little anecdotes in there that want to dive into, but it's fantastic that you shared it. And you're absolutely right. I mean, all of us come from, all of us have some form of insecurities, one way or the other. And this is a long journey. Like we overcome some and something else comes up. Like this is a continuous learning curve, right? I'm really glad you shared about Toastmasters. I think it has been a tool for many, and the fact that you've been with them for over 7 years also shows the value of not just learning but also this opportunity to give back and help the pay it forward essentially, right? And that's been such a core part of your brand. I mean, it's been such a big pivotal thing about you yourself. It's really great to hear that, Venki.
Thank you, Dan.
uh, yeah, I have a interesting learning from, as you were telling me about the startup when you guys went to the lawyer and so on. This is a I'm not, this is not a legal conversation, right? So I don't want to learn about that. But I think what is the, how, there's a lot of hesitation for folks who are on H1B to even consider this. So,
Mhm.
not going into any legal aspects of this, but what are some of the steps that you took to ensure that this is possible for you,
Mhm.
given the situations that we as immigrants are in? And what would your advice be for someone to navigate into actually starting the startup?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest advice, I mean, if you're on H1B from a different country here in the US and wants to start your own company, I think always, as I mentioned earlier, take action and talk to people around you. There are so many resources, and in fact, every city or every town that you might live in has so many resources for entrepreneurs or people who are thinking about starting a business, right? Go and involve yourself, because that's something that I learned over the years is look for those score is an organization that helps people to learn more about business. So don't think about just, hey, I had this idea, I want to just create this right away. Always look for resources that people are already providing in the communities that you live around, and take advantage of those resources. So there are lots of entrepreneurial ecosystems in the places that you live around. Go for those events, networking meetups, and talk to people. Hey, what are the resources that I can get access to in order to really kick things off? And you'll be amazed, irrespective of whatever your background is, people are always wanting to help build companies in the communities because they know the impact that you would be able to make if that takes off. So first thing is always look for resources in the communities around. And the second thing is, of course, we have all these different questions. Hey, could I start my own company? Could I do this or that? So always talk with or be a part of different communities where people on H1B or different types of visa have created these businesses. That's something that I learned. Whether I met people on Kriya or other tools on LinkedIn, always look for opportunities. What are there are so many immigrants that created companies here in the US. So always follow these thought leaders, because that's something that I have followed, and learn. Hey, how did they do it? Right? And in fact, one of the main things that I learned is, hey, you can have concurrent H1Bs to be able to be able to be a part of a startup, right? You don't have to. Uh, there are of course a lot of legal things that you'll have to take care of, but I think one thing that I would advise is talk to people. And in fact, I'm happy to share how I was able to do it. You could reach out to me on Kriya to kind of even share more in details if you are somebody who are looking to build your own thing, and I can share more details. But I think you could be a beneficiary of your own startup if you have a co-founder from here that could also help build your company. So that's something that in my journey it happened. So a couple of co-founders are from the US who are deeply passionate about the same area. And in fact, that's one of the reasons why I just mentioned to take advantage of the resources in your community, because you are going to meet people that are looking for help, just like the way you are, but they could be from here who might have similar passions. And that's one of the biggest advantages that happened in my case. So always look for people around you who are equally passionate and have the drive in order to build companies. And there are several visa opportunities like O1 and EB1A that you can start working towards in order to help you along that journey. And even personally, for me, a lot of things that I have done unconsciously have helped me in that journey. So always get started and learn about all the resources and be part of different communities, whether it's Kriya on LinkedIn. There are several Slack groups that you can be a part of. So take action and be a part of these different communities that are already sharing knowledge, resources. So you never know what could happen the next month or a week. And that's what I would say.
That is incredible. I think there's so many nuggets in there. So, if I were to summarize, one is there are ways around this. It's not
Yes.
easy, obviously, for an immigrant, and there are reasons that there are these, I would say, gatekeeping laws, if you may,
Hmm.
right, for those on a visa. But it's not that there isn't a way around it. And the best way is to find people who are willing to invest in you.
Hmm.
Even the fact, and they are not investors actually, like investors obviously investing capital in you, but even co-founders are investing their reputation, their expertise, their other resources such as this to be able to help each other. Like you are investing your energy, your mental capital, and so on, right? To as a complementary skill set. So know that you have plenty to offer, and if you can meet someone that can be of complementary value to
Yes.
you, magic can happen, basically.
Absolutely, Deb. Because there are so many different skills that you would need in order to build a successful company. And
Absolutely.
sometimes it's just that people around you could actually be thinking the same, and you just need to talk to them and say, hey, here is my idea. Because sometimes people say, hey, I have this brilliant idea and I don't want to share with others. And in fact, that's a wrong notion. Just because you share your idea, that somebody could steal or things like that. So don't even think that people could actually steal your ideas, because there is so much happening in the technology world
Yeah.
that things could change overnight. But always be open to share your ideas, because without people, it's very hard in order to build anything for a long run.
Absolutely. Like they say, right? There are no $1 billion ideas. There's only billion
Yes.
dollar execution,
Yes.
right? So that's a really important thing that you called out because I think a lot of times I've definitely talked to aspiring entrepreneurs who don't want to reveal too
Mhm.
much. I'm like, I understand because we're protective. It's our IP, if you may, in some form. But there is no if someone can out execute you, well, then they deserve to be where they are. You know
Yes.
what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
wonderful. So I have one side note to ask you about, and we're both technologists, so I feel like we enter this conversation of AI with we go directly into what the opportunity for AI is to influence. But I want to just zoom out a little bit broadly, right?
Mhm.
The space that you are in, how do you see AI further influencing the overall industry, and like what advice would you give for those who are, businesses who are entrepreneurs who are in this space to take advantage of as you see AI, creating opportunities in your industry?
Sure, definitely, Deb. Because I mean, AI, I mean, like this week, there are like a couple of tools that already launched that got a lot of attention. So every week, you see these new tools, new AI models that are out there coming at a fast pace. So I think one of the biggest things that I learned, or maybe I want to share, especially people who are in technology or looking to build products, is when you're testing an idea, there are a lot of things that could go wrong, right? You might be thinking, hey, I wanted to build this AI startup, but always look for things that are out there that you could build, that you could leverage instead of building from scratch. So there are several companies that I've seen that have been super successful just by leveraging technologies that somebody else have built. And in fact, one of my co-founders always say, hey, if you can't run with them, join them.
If you can't beat them, join them. Yes.
Exactly, right? So I think technology is changing rapidly, that imagine how you can collaborate with thought leaders in that industry who are making moves, and what is the unique value that you could offer in order to make them and yourself be even more valuable if you work together. So always look for opportunities that for collaboration with partners, because the other important lesson that I learned just the hard way is, hey, you can build a product, but it's very hard to distribute, right? Like you have to do a bunch of marketing, sales, and of course, Deb, you could resonate with this. Is like, I mean, since you have successfully built a startup, and then like really helping a lot of people who wants to like share their knowledge, build a personal brand, and it just resonates with me on how to like really think about things that you might not know, like how could you learn and also share with others. I mean, especially in AI space, if you are trying to like really outpace any of the models or like the companies that are already making news, always think about those opportunities. Hey, how can I provide value to this tool that has been already emerging? I mean, just an example, right? Like, there are, I mean, ChatGPT opened a bunch of um, apps that now I could leverage for my unique needs. So think of all those different ways on how could we leverage the existing ecosystem, because starting from scratch is super difficult. And right now, AI is moving at such a rapid pace that, I mean, it's very hard to keep up with everything that's happening. So always seek those opportunities that with the existing system, how can I leverage to the best of my ability in order to 10x the value that I want to provide.
Fantastic, Venki. Thank you for that. I have one closing thought as we're approaching the close of the hour is if you were to give advice to yourself 10 years ago, what is
Mhm.
that one timeless piece of advice you would like to tell Venki minus 10, T minus 10 years ago?
Yeah, and that's a fantastic segue and a great question, Deb. And I always keep asking myself that question. Hey, what advice would I have given myself if I'm 20 years old now, or whatever the things that I really want to learn. And I think the biggest thing that I learned is being curious. And here is a concept I'm sure a lot of people might have heard about this Japanese concept called ikigai, right? Like how could you find that early on? What are you good at? What do you love or enjoy doing? And what the world needs? And what would people pay you for? If you could find the intersection of all those things, that it doesn't even feel like work every single day, is the best thing that I would say myself 10 or 15 years ago. And of course, life is a long journey, but if you could find a purpose, find your why and your purpose by just intersecting the questions that I just mentioned, is finding your ikigai and the purpose and the joy that it brings you. I think that's the biggest thing that I would tell myself and others who are listening to this, is finding your ikigai or your purpose of life.
It's beautiful. Finding your why. Thank you so much, Venki. This brings us to the end of an incredibly enriching conversation on Level Up with Deb. I genuinely want to extend a heartfelt thank you to to our fantastic guest, Venki, for sharing your invaluable knowledge, experiences, and insights. Honestly, your journey and your wisdom I'm pretty sure has enlightened so many of us, but also inspired so many of us to think differently about how we can make an impact, right? So, guys, don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and other social channels to stay updated on our upcoming episodes. And if you'd like to join experts such as Venki and start to showcase your personal brand, attract those opportunities you're seeking, whether it's consulting, advising, public speaking, or starting your own company, don't forget to apply on Kriya.co. So until next time, keep cultivating your brand, keep growing, and most importantly, keep inspiring. I'm Deb, and this has been Level Up. Thank you so much, Venki.
Thank you so much, Deb, for this opportunity. And yeah.
Thanks, guys. Take care. Bye.